Come on in, welcome to my home. Today I'm going to give you a review of the WE.LOCK Fingerprint Door Lock. And I'm going to go into this telling you that I was seriously skeptical. And I was. I came at this very cautiously because I couldn't imagine how this fairly reasonable lock could possibly be a good lock for what I wanted it to do. And because of my own human error, it wasn't a good lock to begin with. But that had nothing to do with the lock. It had to do with the person. So let me explain. Alright, so the first thing that I did is I got the lock. In the lock comes the lock itself, the thumbprint reader or fingerprint reader, the other knob, and everything that you need to have in it. So you have the lock. You do have an extender if you have a thicker door jam. I did not, so everything would work in perfectly. And then it was just a matter of taking off my old lock and setting in the new lock. This went super easy. I mean, super easy. There was just the exact right amount of space underneath the deadbolt, which is on my door, for the lock to fit in. The one thing that you do have to be cautious of is make sure that everything is actually plumb and level, so that way there's not anything slightly off. And once it is, it just slips in there. Now, it is slightly a little bit more difficult to get the screws into the exact right place, but once again, I think that was my own human error. This went in really easy once I stopped trying to rush through this and actually took my time and did things carefully, and it went in really easy. Like I said, this was my own human error to begin with. So lock installed, I set it up, and once again, I did not read the directions. If you read the directions on this, it really does go really simply. So I set it up, put my thumbprint in there, and I thought I was all ready to go, and the door worked. The door lock worked absolutely fine. I do not have the gateway to it so that I can't control it with my Google Assistant, but I can control it with my phone, and I can control it with the thumbprint, or so I thought. But then I was like testing this out, and I found out that every other fingerprint would also open the door. And I'm like, well, this is not a good item. This can't be possibly good. It was really good. Because what I didn't do is I got the thumbprint administrator in there. Yay for me. And then I forgot to add any fingerprints. Once you add that first fingerprint, you're saying, well, how do you add a fingerprint to this? Really simple. You hold down the power button, and that's the button which uses to unlock the door. So when I come up to my door, I press the button that's on the doorknob, and then it turns on. I put my thumbprint or fingerprint, depending upon what you have reading, on there, and then it will read it, and it will say it's unlocked or locked. Once it's unlocked, you can turn the knob, and the knob will actually turn the mechanism inside. If it does not read it, it does not know it, the knob will just keep turning, and it will never unlock. Well, what I had done was, since I didn't have a fingerprint in there, other than my administrator fingerprint, it did read every single thing that I would put on there and just basically unlock for anything. Because I didn't read. You need to read directions. Once you do, and I put in the first fingerprint in there, guess what? It won't unlock for just any fingerprint. You have to use the fingerprints that you want. Now, you can set this up so that you can give access to people based on their fingerprint at any time of the day, certain days, whatever. You can give them access, limited access, full access. However you want to set this up, you can give it to them. And that's the cool part about this, is the fact that it's really great for, especially in those moments where I like to go for a walk in the morning. And when I go for a walk, I usually only take my phone with me. I hate taking my keys with me. So I have just my phone. I had been going for my walk in the morning with just leaving the door unlocked. I didn't feel comfortable with it. And I know a lot of people don't head around here, but it was just something which wasn't all that great. But now this actually locks. It is open for approximately, I think, 6 seconds. You can set that time, the interval for it, and then it will lock back automatically. So if it closes, it'll lock, or once it's closed, it will be locked. Wonderful. So I go for my walk, I come back, and I can just open up the door with my fingerprint. The other cool part about this is when I'm doing the gardening or working out on the porch and all that sort of stuff, I can then just go work and stuff, and I don't have to take my keys out with me when I'm gardening. So let's talk about practical things. One of the things to remember is the lock itself, the doorknob, it's weatherproof. Yeah, you can have it in a condition where it's going to get weather. Mine is on a protected porch. Porch is protected, but anyway. So you don't have to worry about that. It also comes with these RFID cards. So this card I can give to people who I don't necessarily want them to have their thumbprint, or for whatever reason I'm not using their thumbprint, I just want to give them access. This card will do that. One of the nice parts about this is, let's say I broke my thumb or broke whatever finger or something like that, I can give this card to somebody, they can place it on the reader, and then the reader will use that to open up the door, which is really good. Like if you have parents who don't necessarily, they don't live with you, but you want to have them so they can, if they in an emergency, they would have access. Because I was thinking about this, because I live close to a college town, this would be a great doorknob for a room, for your own private room. If you have a room where you want to keep only you have access, you want to limit access to certain people who are in that household, this would be a really great way to do this. And that way you could also then, give the RF card to somebody who you thought really would need it, or that sort of thing. So yeah, there are cards. You can use the thumbprint reader. You can use you can use the fingerprint reader, but it really does help to have other ways to get in. Now, the possibility of opening it up with my phone is also really great, because if I am inside, or when I am really thinking about getting the gateway, which has a gateway hub, so that if I'm not within Bluetooth access of the lock, because if you're unlocking it with your phone, you're actually unlocking it via Bluetooth. You're not unlocking it via the net. The gateway will have it open up so that you can access it wherever you are. And so I do not have that yet. I really am thinking about getting that. If you're interested in me doing a video on that, let me know down in the comments. So I can unlock it, and with my condo being the size it is, I can unlock it from anywhere in my condo. So if somebody comes to my door, I can just get on the phone, unlock the door, and they're in. Now, there are so many other really cool things about this, because if you're like me and sometimes you forget to lock the door automatically locks itself. I love that. I love that feature. That feature just makes me feel very safe and secure. And let's talk about safe and secure. What made me skeptical about this is I thought they'd put all the money and time and effort into just the security of the reader, fingerprint reader, but also the lock is really good. The lock is really nice. And then the fact that the lock is set up so that you can't then just pick it, with lock picks and that sort of stuff. How does this work? Well, it has 3 AAA batteries that are in the doorknob. Cool. But what if the batteries run out? Well, there are a couple things. One, you can check the battery life. It will show you that on the doorknob. It'll also show you in the app. 2, if the batteries do absolutely die, there is a little charging port in there that you can put in a USB, and I have a power brick, so I just plug the USB cable into the power brick and into the lock, and I can open it up that way. So I really don't even have to worry about that. Now, the cool thing about this is, with all the storms that we've been having, if this were completely internet driven, our power has gone out quite a few times lately, and I mean quite a few times lately. That would possibly lock me out of my house, which would not make me happy. With this system, it works locally, so I don't need the power of this. I can double check the batteries and then make sure that the batteries are all up and ready to go. It really does give me quite a bit of security. Now, the other thing about this is, I can put other people into this lock. Now, the app leaves a lot to be desired. I'm not a big fan of the app. However, it works really well. You just need to remember who your fingerprints are. And what I like to do if I'm doing a new fingerprint, I will have that person enter in their fingerprint, doing the whole hold down the power button, read my administrator thumbprint, then they do their fingerprint and ask it for 3 times. You put your finger on the fingerprint reader on there 3 times. Then it tells you a number. It tells you, I think you have 1 to 999, and then I can put that into my reader. Cool. I can then go into the app and create a user, and that user, that's when I define when they can come in, when they can't come in, that sort of thing. And that's really handy, especially I know that Mom likes to go out here, and sometimes she'll go from her condo, which is over there, walk around the condos, and want to get into my condo, even though she could have just come through that door. But sometimes she's already outside. This way she can just put her finger onto the doorknob, open it up, and come in, which is really nice and reassuring. And it then means that you don't have to take your keys with you everywhere. The other thing about this is a lot of times, like I said, when the power goes out, it's one of those things. I almost never go through my front door unless I'm doing something outside, so I have a tendency not to have my keys with me. Well, this way, if I'm out someplace, like I went with a friend, they drove, I can then just open up the door that way. Now, you are saying, well, what about your screen door that you have a lock on? Well, a lot of times I will leave that screen door if I know people are coming over, that sort of thing. And it just gives me a sense of security, a sense of peace and quiet, and not having to wonder, well, did I lock the door as I'm laying in bed? No, the door locks itself. It is a good product. I can honestly say this because like I said, up until a couple days ago, I was really, really skeptical because it would read anything. It doesn't. It really wants to know the exact fingerprints that you have for that lock. If it doesn't know them, it will not unlock, which is super, super nice. And like I said, I'm going to get the gateway so that way I can unlock it, and I can give other people access via their phones. However, that one's sketchy right now because I haven't tried to do that, because there's nobody else I need to give access to my lock. So as soon as I do that and I figure it out, I'll do another video on this. But I can say, I would recommend this. This really works well. It's easy to install. Read the directions. The directions are pretty straightforward, but it's one of those things where reading the directions will really help you, and don't think that you are smarter than the directions. If you have questions, I had questions. I actually wrote to or emailed the company, and guess what? They responded very quickly, very politely, walked me through what I needed to know, and it was great. Service was wonderful, works well, I recommend it. Well, tell me what you think about this, and if you're interested in knowing more things about that, let me know down in the comments. I'd also like to take this chance to thank very much these patrons who help keep this channel going. They get to see these videos early, and they give me ideas for new videos. If you'd like to join Patreon, go ahead and check that out. You can also join the channel members also on this. Channel membership is also just like Patreon. You do get the access to the videos early, and you get special content because there is a weekly vlog which lets you know what it's like for me behind the scenes. And this week they heard a lot of my struggles with this lock until, of course, I figured out what I was doing wrong. The lock was really good. So I hope I get to see you the next time you stop by.